Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome back to VML, sponsored by Wizards of the Coast and GLHF. My name is Nicole Callahan, also known as Lady of the Crease, and I am joined here in week number 2 by the forever lovely and oh so talented Magic Mishamigo. Mishamigo, say what's up. Oh, pointing the wrong way, this way.
Hello, everybody. I am Magic Mishamigo. Happy to be here for week 2 of season 10 with the wonderful Nicole, Lady of the Crease.
Yeah, and just a quick shout out to start things off. I wanted to shout you out. For those of you who missed it, Mishamigo, a super talented cosplayer, rocked the contest in Minneapolis and took home the best in show with slime foot. So if she is the fungus among us. When I told Jim, I was like, I'm casting tonight. He's like, who are you casting with? I was like, Mishamigo. I was like, you're casting with a fungus. I'm like, heck yeah, I am the best around. So you should be following Mishamigo for all sorts of awesome cosplay stuff and other awesome things. If you're not following her, you done screwed up. So
thank you so much. I appreciate it. I still just feel like I'm being a weirdo.
No, I wanted to kick things off with that, and a big shout out to the Nerdy Steve for hosting or rating us. So Steve, you're the greatest. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for your support. And for those of you who haven't been here before, hi. We're the VML. We are a 10-week-long Magic the Gathering Arena League showcasing the talents of amazing people of marginalized genders within the Magic community. We have 128 players divided up into 16 divisions. We play round robin for 7 weeks. We cut to a playoff for the top 32. And at the end of this year, for the first time now, each season, we have seasons 8 and 9 clean and done. Season 10, we're going to take our top 8 from each of those 3 seasons and have a VML championships later on this year. So 2 Pro Tour slots are going to be given out during that tournament. So definitely the hot ticket, besides having a whole bunch of other great stuff on the line, you know, cash and prizes. So we've got some regional championships invites and all that good stuff. And like Misha said, this is week number 2. If you want to stay on top of everything that's going on in VML, make sure you're following us at VML MTG on Twitch and Twitter and YouTube, because we're great. So, and speaking of great, let's take a look at our metagame breakdown. What did our awesome players decide to bring this week? And I hear there's a BNR announcement coming on Monday.
Yeah. So as you can see, Rakdos Midrange is still the top contender for this week with 47 of the 128 decks submitted. So quite a few. And then next in line, we have Orzhov Midrange, 5-color ramp, both coming in at 10, Grixis Midrange coming in at 9, Azorius Soldiers Esper Legends at 6, and Selesnya Enchantments at 5. Everything else was either 4 decks submitted or below, and then the 18 either had 1 or 2 decks. So we've got quite a few different decks submitted this week, but Rakdos was very much the heavy hitter.
Yes, definitely a very decisive pie chart we have here, but it's awesome because in the VML, you can change your deck week to week. There is weekly submissions. So this will change week to week. And I'm sure a lot of these decks are going to have to change the week after this one coming up, since our deck submission is Sunday night. So I am sure in week 4, you will start to see a big change here, depending on what happens, as long as we're not hearing no changes from Wizards on Monday. So we'll all hold our breath and see what happens.
I don't want to speculate on the leaked list or anything like that, but with how many Rakdos decks are currently at the top of the meta, I would not be a little surprised if some of the staples in those were to see a ban, but we will see.
Yes, we will. And until then, this will be the place to find all sorts of standard lists. And we're going to start with no Rakdos tonight. We are headed to our first match out of division number 7, and we have Grace on 5-color ramp. So this was one of those domain decks. Builds up to things like Atraxa and Herd Migration. Any thoughts on this list, Misha?
Yeah, I have some thoughts because this was the deck that I played against last week in the VML, and it's It's an interesting one. You're obviously trying to ramp. You're going to get that Topiary Stomper. You're going to get the Invasion of Zendikar. You're going to get all those lands in order to keep, your opponent from getting ahead of you. Leyline bindings. The leyline binding comes in clutch. You have some of those triomes out there. You get three land types with one, another three land types with another. You're being able to cast that leyline binding for 1 mana, basically. So it's a pretty strong deck. I definitely feel like if it gets to the later game, this deck will probably take over. It's just, can we see if their opponent's going to get ahead of them in the beginning?
Yes, and that is what our other player tonight is looking to do, Nora on Azorius Soldiers. So she is looking to get onto the battlefield, quick, efficient, aggressive. And how do you think this matchup will go down between Grace and Nora, between Five Color Ramp and Azorius Soldiers? What do you think we're going to see out of this Soldiers deck?
Ooh, see, this is going to be the biggest part. Is Nora going to be able to, turn one, turn two, just start slamming creatures in, or is Grace going to be able to ramp? Grace also has herd migration in her deck to help, just pad that life total a little bit. So I'm very interested because I would definitely say an aggro deck is probably the best opponent to the other deck, but depending how it curves out, I mean, it could be anyone's game.
Yes, it can. And so let's jump right into it. Why waste any more time? We'll see whose game this will in fact be as we watch our Five Color Ramp player Grace on the bottom of your screen, and Nora, our Azorius Soldiers player, will be on the top of your screen. And it looks like Grace happy with her 7, and Nora's still kind of mulling it over. 4 lands, a little land heavy, 3 spells, but is ultimately going to keep. What do you think about that keep?
Yeah, Nora does have a few 1 mana creatures to get out there with, a 2 mana creature and an Aganjo in hand that could help, take off some of the larger creatures on Grace's side. I think it was an okay keep, but running a little risky in case, you draw a bunch more lands.
Yeah, and we see already getting a little bit on the battlefield here. Oh, Topiary Stomper, a 4/4 can't quite block yet until there are more lands out on the battlefield for Grace. So Nora still has the okay go with this Reckoner Bankbuster on Grace's side. These 2 1s and 1 1s aren't measuring up too great.
Oh, see, for me, this is a hard part though, because that topiary stomper right now, it can't attack or block. But we know that Grace has that invasion of Zendikar. Invasion of Zendikar lets you get 2 lands, and Grace can also play the land from her hand. That puts you at 7. So that topiary stomper can get in there, as soon as that invasion's played, can start attacking, and that's going to force Nora to block with that 2/2 unless she wants to let Grace have the other 4/4 from the invasion.
Yeah. I love this play here. There was no block on that attack from Grace, letting the damage come through, going down to 12, going to play that invasion, find a couple of different colored lands here. A plains and an island will hit the battlefield. The battle is on. So there are 3 counters on that invasion of Zendikar, and Topiary Stomper is going to get in a vigilance attacker. So we'll still also be good on defense.
Yeah, so this is going to force Nora to either block with the 2/2 or just let Grace get through and get another 4/4 with vigilance.
Yes, and Nora is contemplating the block here, and it looks like Valiant Veteran will jump in front. Now, Valiant Veteran does have some value from the graveyard as well.
It does. At this point, though, I think if I'm Nora, I might just be holding back the Diganjo. So when that Topiary Stomper goes in to hit that invasion, you can just, snatch it away.
Yeah, and we see checking out the Shieldred in hand is Grace, taking a look at what her options are here. And it looks like Shieldred will be the starting point, having drawn Leyline Binding for turn, able to do all 3 here. Hasn't drawn off of the Reckoner Bankbuster out on the battlefield yet, though.
Yeah, and with Nora staying back, that's going to make it a little bit difficult to try to swing in with that 4/4 Topiary Stomper because Nora can just block with 2 creatures and take it out. But Grace has the option of flashing in that Leyline Binding and having basically a 2-for-1. But we'll see what ends up happening here.
Yeah, it looks like Topiary Stomper happy to attack here. And it looks like Igandro will be the answer. Igandro targeting that Topiary Stomper. We'll see if Grace does anything in response. Nope. Gonna let it go. And Bankbuster and Binding still in hand. Can also draw off the Bankbuster on the battlefield. Is just gonna pass the turn. And another land is the draw for turn for Nora. So probably not what she was looking for here.
No, at this point, Nora is definitely looking for some more action. She has plenty of lands in hand that, you know, it's you need lands to do things, but you don't need too many lands.
Right. Some of the lands have value, but it feels better to get a little more action out on the battlefield, especially with Shieldred just kind of hanging overhead. Grace able to pad up the life total a little bit here. She's moving back up to 16 and then to 18 off of the Bankbuster draw, and has a couple of cycling lands in hand as well. So can just draw a bunch of cards and restore her life back up to the starting point. And we see a second invasion of Zendikar coming down here. Gonna get 2 more basic lands. Running out of basic lands there. 5 left in the deck. We'll grab a swamp and a forest. And now the second battle on the battlefield. And Shieldred happy to stay home though. Shieldred's doing her job.
Yeah, Shelly doesn't need to do any more work than what
Right.
she's already doing. Honestly, just getting those 2 invasions out on the field and thinning the deck, that's going to be key for Grace, because the more lands she draws, the more, non-action pieces she's getting. So if you can just thin it out, that's a great way to go. And, you do have those 2 invasions if you can push something through. Those are just 4/4s in waiting.
Yeah, and flashing the Zephyr Sentinel end of turn, bouncing that Yodian frontliner, and then replaying it here. So hoping maybe to do some damage in the air where Nora feels Grace might be a little weaker. But it is only 3 damage coming across from turn. And uh-oh, I spoke too soon.
Yep, damage in the air only does so much until you have another big damage in the air piece across from you.
And an abundance of riches here for Grace. Another ley line binding, another Shieldred, backup Shieldred just in case. Oh no, take the backup
Oh,
Atraxa. Because why not? It's just a
yeah.
7 mana, 7/7, draw 5,
Yeah, what's better than first Atraxa, second Atraxa?
Right. It's like second breakfast.
And
And
we're gonna see a concede from Nora's side, because once you see that Atraxa, it's hard to come back for an aggro deck. There's really not much you can do in that position, to be honest.
now we're moving to sideboards. We see these lithomantic barrages coming in. Also Archangel of Wrath. Disdainful Stroke looks like the Vanquish the Horde came in quickly. Obstinate Bailoff is in. It looks like everything except the 4 Disdainful Strokes staying in the side. There was 2 Archangel of Wrath, 4 Lithomantic Barrage, 2 Obstinate Bailoff, 3 Vanquish the Horde. Any thoughts on the sideboard plan? That's a lot of cards.
Honestly, if I had to choose that Archangel of Wrath when I played against this deck I played a mono red deck when I played it, but Archangel of Wrath wrecked me so bad that life gain off the kicker, having a big bootied flyer, like that, what, and just the life gain in general, it was hard to come back from. And I have a feeling that the Azorius aggro soldiers deck would probably face a lot of those same struggles I did.
Yeah. And we do see Shouldreds coming out, a couple of ossifications. Ossification's not so good when you're facing some, 1/1s, 2/2s, and 2/1s and tokens and things like that. We see Breach the Multiverse. So I would say lowering the curve a little bit, but really how much are you lowering? You see, Vanquish the Horde can be cheaper, and Herd Migration can find you lands instead. So Breach the Multiverse definitely one of the more expensive cards in the deck. And
One of the things about herd migration too is that when you go fetch a land with it, it also gains you 3 life. And in an aggro matchup, that 3 life could make a difference.
yes, it could. And we see both players happy to keep their 7s here, and we are off to the races. Once again, Nora, our Azorius Soldiers player, is on the top of your screen, and Grace, our 5-color ramp, is on the bottom. And Nora's going to kick us off with a recruitment
Ooh.
officer.
I won't
So-
lie, I was a little nervous for Grace for a second, only seeing the Tri-Land in the plains, knowing that the Topiary Stomper takes 2 green, but she never didn't have it.
But never didn't have it as recruitment officer number 1. Got to get into the red zone. So Grace down to 18. There's one of those lithomantic barrages. Not going to waste any time. Just going to kill one of those 2-1s. Buy a little time. What do you think about that aggressive removal?
Honestly, every little bit of life matters in this matchup, so I think just taking a 2/1 out for a 1-mana removal spell, not a bad way to go.
Now the ball is rolling. Topiary Stomper back on the battlefield. Remember, Topiary Stomper doing a good bit of work there in game number 1, being able to go from Topiary Stomper into Invasion of Zendikar. We'll see if that is what in fact happens here.
Yep, we saw this last game, but we do see this game that there is a Spell Pierce in hand, and this is going to be played.
Yes, it is. And that will take care of the Invasion of Zendikar. Now, there is no second white for the Vanquish the Horde in Grace's hand. And 3 Atraxas. Atrax is good and all, but if you can't cast it, it doesn't feel so great.
Yeah, with Atraxa being 7 mana, that's you're still a little ways off before being able to play the Atraxa. And oof, like you said, 2 Vanquish the Hordes. Yep. All right. So, kind of like I said, that perfect curve out for Azorius Soldiers
Yes.
can go right under this 5-color deck. So now we're going to see game 3. It doesn't look like we might be sideboarding anything else in. Well, one Atraxa out, one Swamp back.
On the play versus the draw, we'll see if our Azorius Soldiers player would like to do anything. And Nora says, I'm pretty happy with how that game went. So one thing you got to make sure is a 5-color ramp player, they got to make their land drops. So that had to be a scary one for Grace there. But once again, keeping 7, but Nora down to 5. Now, Grace is once again keeping 2 lands here, though. Could this open the door for Nora to get in and win quickly again?
I think there's a chance, but the fact that Nora had to mull down to 5 it's painful. It always hurts. But Grace does also have that Reckoner Bankbuster that's going to give her some card draw, could hopefully draw her into some more action. We'll just have to wait and see. Herd migration going to get, yeah.
That's a timely draw, being able to find a basic land card. It's going to be interesting to see. It looks like going to opt for the mountain to open up this Lithomantic Barrage, the pair of Lithomantic Barrages in Grace's hand. So I feel like the tide's already turning.
Yeah, a little bit. Getting that scroll off the board was really important for Grace since it can give protection. And now we see that there's 2 Leyline Bindings for 1 mana each, another Lithomantic Barrage. There's a lot of removal over on Grace's side that will probably keep her in the game long enough to get out to some of those larger ticket creatures.
Oh, yeah. And that's Zephyr Sentinel just flashing in. It's a 3/2, but Leyline Binding going to quickly take care of that. And yeah, Reckoner Bankbuster is able to draw here if Grace does not feel pressured enough. And being at 21 life, about to go down to 19, it's still a pretty healthy life total after, turn 4 when you're playing against an aggressive deck.
Oh, and seeing 2 more Leyline Bindings and an Archangel, this I'm definitely feeling like this is a little bit in Grace's favor at this point.
We'll see. Now,
this spell, the first line, it cannot be countered. So
yeah, because Nora took a second to look at the Protected Negotiators, and Grace does have a mana open as well. So that would not have gone too well.
No, it sure wouldn't.
We see Knight Errant of Eos is the draw for Nora, but nothing more than a vanilla 4/4 at the moment, as there are no creatures to convoke with. So Reckoner Bankbuster. Grace is going to say, this is fine. I've got all day. I can just keep drawing cards with Reckoner Bankbuster and slowly building up my board. And Protected Negotiator is going to take care of that Topiary Stomper. So a 1/1 out on Nora's battlefield now. So a start. It's a start.
It sure is. We're going to see that Knight Errant of Eos coming in. Gonna get that resolve trigger and see.
Unfortunately, nothing to take with the Convoke trigger there. So a 4/4 got to look at clear the top of the deck, and then a Obstinate Bailoff now on the side of Grace, so gaining a little more life and cushioning that life total just a little bit more, but not going to get into the red zone. Not looking to trade Bankbuster for that a Knight Errant of Eos quite yet. Perhaps a second one.
We'll see if there were any available targets for this knight.
And it looks like there may have been.
Yeah, looks like there's at least one option. I'll just have to wait and see. Oh,
And,
two options.
Yeah, look at that. Zephyr Sentinel and Harbin. So 2 decent choices off of that Knight Errant of Eos.
Yep. I always love seeing Harbin. Now knowing that there's some Vanquish the Hordes, Leyline Bindings, Harbin probably isn't long for this world, but Harbin is one of my favorite soldier creatures. Just all the upside to it.
And on mine, there still is no double white on Grace's side right now. So unable to cast the Archangel of Wrath, either of the Vanquish of the Hordes, does have the Leyline Bindings. But the double white cards are not on in Grace's hand at the moment, as this Obstinate Bailoff 4/4 is going to get in the red zone. And it looks like one of the Knight Errants is happy to jump right in front.
I think the Zephyr Sentinel is going to flash out, bounce the Knight Errant, save it, and then you're also not taking 4 damage. So now Nora has a 2/1 flyer in the air. Which for now, since Grace still doesn't have that 2 white mana, can get in to do some damage if Grace doesn't elect to use the Leyline Binding on it.
Nora draws a land for turn, so a land, that Knight Errant back in hand, and Harbin and a Valiant Veteran in the graveyard as well. We'll see. It looks like looking to start with the Knight Errant of Eos and going to convoke with 2 creatures, going to leave that Zephyr Sentinel untapped on the battlefield, perhaps ready to attack. And it looks like 2 more hits, a Resolute Reinforcements and a Recruitment Officer, both to hand for Nora. So Nora able to keep up and keep refilling and get a little more gas in the hand here. Is Nora turning the corner here?
Currently, it's looking good, but we do know that there's at least 2 Leyline Bindings, and I do worry that when Grace does hit that second white, that may be turning the corner right back, just because that Archangel is going to be a big blocker in the air. Its kicker cost is going to gain a lot of life. So yeah, it depends how fast Grace gets a second white mana, because I think that will be a key factor.
So we see an Obstinate Bailoff after making a token end step with Mirix. Now, both players actually have a Mirix in play, and gonna start making those little 1/1s, can't block. And Grace only has a couple of options here. An Obstinate Bailoff that would make it so that she was unable to use Mirix once again this turn, and then a Leyline Binding in hand. But probably looking to save that Leyline Binding for a target that's a little more tempting.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Right now, that Leyline Binding, the only real target I could see wanting to hit with it is potentially the Zephyr Sentinel, just because that's a flyer, and right now you don't have anything that can block the flyer. The Archangel will be great once there's a second white mana, but for now, it's only a 2/1, and Grace is still over 20 life. Also, I think
Oh,
that Harbin is gonna be that key because that
yeah.
gives everything flying.
And now that Otawara was a great draw for Nora. So happy to run out the Harbin into what feels dangerous and can protect it here with the Otawara bouncing it back to hand. And let's see if that's what she decides to do here, or will she let it go to the leyline binding? Let's see what she chooses to do. And it looks like Otawara bouncing one of the other leyline binding. Oh, it's sorry. No, it is the ley. It was that leyline binding. So bouncing that to hand and going to get in, realizing that Grace only does have the one white source. So this is a huge attack in the air. It is not quite lethal. So Grace is down to 4, and all of a sudden, Grace is on the back foot.
Yes, because this with those Mirex creatures being unable to block and only needing to press 4 more damage currently, this is huge for Nora. That Baloth, however, can gain some life, so that may be once. Well, I hate to say it, saving grace.
I'm glad you said it. But here's I think the second green source for the Obstinate Bailoff is the only white source for the lane line binding. So Grace would not be able to double spell here. I believe that's a Xander's Lounge. So a Grixis Triome, and then the Spars headquarters, which it has the green and the white. But so needing to cycle here and just finding a Reckoner Bankbuster. And gonna play that out, but not much
Oh,
else can be done. And Nora's gonna take it down.
yeah,
2
there we
games to
have
1.
it.
Wow. What a set of games. That was
Oh,
impressive.
that was a very interesting game. Just that second white source being the one thing that held Grace back. That really was the only thing that kept it from really turning a corner. But congratulations to Nora.
Yeah, it's scary in those 5-color decks. Sometimes you're missing a color or even a second source of one color, and you're like, uh-oh. So, but very well navigated by Nora, knowing her way around, knowing what she had to do to win, and she did it. So took it down here in week number 2. So good games to both of our players, and ready to move on to the next one. That was some way to kick things off. So let's see if Jason can keep the action going. And she is on 4-color combo. This is some deck. So this is an infinite combo with a Blade of Shared Souls, making the tokens, and then like legend ruling things, and it gets pretty messy. So
Yeah, I'll be honest. When I spoke to Jason for their player slide, Jason even asked me, "We're like, do you know how this combo works?" And I was honest. I was like, "I not really. I know it's really confusing. There's a lot of moving pieces, so feel free to explain it." And they actually did send me like a nice little concise, well, kind of concise, as concise as it can be for this combo breakdown. But kind of like what they said in their player slide, it really revolves around getting Blade of Share Selves and getting Owl the Dawn-Sky out early and getting the death triggers off of Owl to dig for the Ratadrabic, the Catilda, the Tyvar, and then just going infinite with mana and going infinite with wide Ratadrabic tokens.
you see, I have seen a different Blade of Shared Souls combo deck in play, but it was the Atsushi one and the Ratadrabric, and you make copies of the Atsushi and it dies, and you make infinite amounts of treasure, so you have like infinite amount of mana and things like that. So I've seen that one. So this one was unique to me when I saw it this week, and I'm excited to see it in action.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited. I know it gets real messy and gets kind of crazy, but that's what's so fun about it.
Yes. And let's see what Jason is up against this week. It looks like Kayla, and she has brought Rakdos Reanimator. So pretty much what you would be expecting from your Rakdos Reanimator decks, Fable, Blood Tithe Harvester, Atraxas, but some Atalis in there. I see a single Croxa and Kunaros, some Diagraph Rebirths, Cruelty of Gix, things like that, Invasion of Tovalda. So anything standing out to you here?
I I'll be honest, I'm really excited about the Croxa and Cornos. I know there's a second copy in the sideboard, so I don't know how likely that is to actually do any reanimating since there's only a one of in the main. But I do love to see that inclusion. But yeah, I think it's just gonna be, can we get stuff in the graveyard? I don't think Jason's deck really has the potential to do much graveyard exiling. So it's, can we get it in the graveyard and can we get it out of the graveyard?
Well, we will find out which one of these decks can do their thing faster. It's almost kind of like a combo deck versus a combo deck. One of them wants Atraxa in the graveyard and then out. The other one wants to just go infinite with dragons and blades. So
Yeah, in a way, they're both kind of playing their own game, and whoever can assemble the pieces first will probably take it home.
and now we will be watching from the side of Jason. She is on the bottom of your screen. That is your 4-color combo player. And on the top of your screen, you'll have Kayla on Rakdos Reanimator. And
Ooh,
let's see.
this is hard for Jason because they only have 1 mana, but they had quite a few 2-mana creatures. So yeah, this looks like a much better keep. You have the mana to actually play those creatures. Um, yeah.
Yeah, and I think as Kayla also had gone to 6 at that point, perhaps you feel a little bit better. Don't you always feel better when your opponent mulligans too? You're like, all right, let's keep it fair. I'll
Yeah,
mulligan, you mulligan, we're all good. But
there's a
we are
person at my local LGS that says, "Gentlemen's mulligan," where you both go down.
we see a Blood Tithe Harvester is going to start things off on the side of Kayla, and Rona gonna be Jason's first play of the game. Doesn't quite block that Blood Tithe Harvester too great. Rona not built for blocking, really.
That's okay. The Blood Tithe Harvester, well, it's gonna get him for 3 either way.
So Blood Tithe Harvester getting across after that Rona hit the graveyard from the Go for the Throat from Kayla, followed by a Catilda on the battlefield on Jason's side. And we see the Blade of Shared Souls also in hand for Jason here.
Yeah.
Liliana. Ooh, one
Oh,
of the
'cause
ways.
I was gonna say, the Catilda, doesn't it have protection from vampires? Is that the right protection?
I believe it's werewolf.
Werewolves. I knew it was one of those types of creatures on Innistrad.
Yes. It was one of the creepies, the scary horror, protection from something. So no
Yep.
protection from vampires, but protection from werewolves. So we'll
Oh, it looks
see.
like Kayla is already starting to put together a lot of her pieces. It looks like, there's an Atali in the graveyard, the Cruelty of Gix in hand. Um, so it looks like she might be assembling some of her pieces before Jason's getting the opportunity.
Yeah, we'll see. This Cruelty of Gix is the biggest part. And yeah, we will skip to chapter 3. Gonna skip to dessert here and put Atali right onto the battlefield. Let's see what Atali hits. It looks like a Cruelty of Gix and an AO of
Oh,
her own. So
that's a pretty good off the top for Kayla.
ooh, and gets to take a little looky-loo at Jason's hand as well. Sees the Otawara go for the throat, left in hand. Blood Tithe Harvester gonna get in, so that little token is gonna jump in front and trade. Rafine's Tower, probably not what Jason is looking for here.
Oh, this is
Oh boy.
interesting though, because that Otawara, that can definitely take out the owl and send it back to Jason if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. The Otawara returns to its owner's hand. So we'll see what happens here. Cruelty of Gix able to tutor for anything Kayla could possibly want, and what would that be? Another cruelty of Gix.
What's better than first cruelty? Second cruelty. We are going to see that channel getting that owl back to Jason's hand. Tolly will get in for 7 though.
Yeah, so Jason is down to 7. So this Atali does say, I am lethal. Cruelty of Gix would reveal the hand of Jason and take the owl that just had gotten back there. So Jason said, all right, enough. We're going to go on to game number 2 here and take a look at these sideboards. We have some Gix's commands in the sideboard for Kayla.
I definitely saw those duresses come in. I think that's going to be real key for Jason if they can duress some of those cruelties, reanimation spells out of Kayla's hand. You know, I think that'll give Jason a little bit more time to assemble their combo before Kayla can get the great cards in the graveyard and assemble her combo.
Yes, apologies. This is Jason sideboarding, not Kayla's. My apologies. So this is Kayla's sideboard here that we are looking at. And is that extra Croxa and Kunaros coming in? That is the question that we want answered here for commentary.
It's not looking likely.
Nope, but that's okay. You know, you never know. Maybe we'll see it.
All
And
right.
ooh, that is some loaded hand on the side of Kayla. That's all killer but no filler. Is that a keep?
Yeah. I'm not sure I would keep this. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like Kayla agrees with you. But happy with the 6 with the Diagraph Rebirth, the Cruelty of Gix, and a Lithomantic Barrage to take care of any early pressure from Jason or maybe break up possible combos as we see Melira being the first thing on the battlefield. Melira Living Cure.
We will see that barrage.
Bye-bye. Not going to leave that one alive. So another land on the side of Kayla and able to play arguably the best card in Standard so far. The first time we're seeing it cast tonight, though, is Fable of the Mirror Breaker.
Yeah, Fable on 3. Can't really get much better than that. All right. So, oh, yeah, I was about to say, I was like, Jason is in an interesting spot right here. That's just a lot of lands, and you know, luckily the owl can come out next turn. But it's just very slow for them.
Yes, she does have that Ottawara in the hand, so can use it on that Goblin Shaman token. Had decided not to on her own turn, but I would imagine we're going to see it here before attacks.
Yeah, we don't need well, I say we. Jason doesn't need Kayla ramping with another treasure right now. We know that Kayla's deck isn't really running any counter spells, so safe to just, you know, I don't think you can really it's a channel spell anyways, so safe to just do it.
And AO coming down and going to eat a go for the throat from Kayla. So getting to look at the top, Loran and Double Blade of Shared Soul. So even though having just drawn a Loran for turn there, Jason is going to take the second copy to kill the Fable before it can hit Chapter 3. Any thoughts on that play?
You know, I'm not sure. I might have taken the blade because the Fable does have to transform and it doesn't have summoning sickness. So you could have just waited and played the Lorn from hand. But in case of any sort of, I don't know, the duresses wouldn't be able to hit the Lorn. You know, just Jason not risking it.
Nope, gonna play it safe. We see a cycle of the Rafine's Tower, drawing a go for the throat. And again, with that second copy of Lauren here. Now, Jason can draw a card with Lauren, but would also allow Kayla to do the same. So we're seeing what she's thinking here. Does she want to draw, or is she just going to let this happen? And
Let's it happen.
Yeah, Cutdown's just going to resolve. I'm going to say, all right, you got my Lauren. And Kayla is going to kick things back off on the this empty battlefield here with the Cruelty of Gix. Gonna start with chapter number 3 once again and steal Jason's owl. That's rude.
Ow, yeah, that's mine.
Yes, and go for the throat once again, going to kill that same owl. That poor dragon. Every time it hits the battlefield, it's getting
Just can't stay on board.
it's gotten its throat gone for a couple times there.
You know, this may be why Jason decided to go for the second Lauren, just in case that Fable made a reappearance. A second way to kill it.
Yeah, I like that. And so now we have Lauren staring down a Goblin Shaman token, looking to get in the red zone here. Held the Catilda last turn and also has drawn a Rona for this turn. So playing out that 1-3 and passing the turn back. Atali is the draw for Kayla. Gonna get in with that Goblin Shaman here. That is 7 mana on Kayla's side now. So, you know what? Even if she couldn't do it the fancy way, just being able to hard cast an Italia feels pretty good too.
Yeah, I just like an Atali on board. It doesn't matter how it got there, as long as it's there, I'm usually pretty happy.
Let's see. What does Atali hit this time around? It looks like a Malira the Living Cure from Jason and a Blood Tithe Harvester from Kayla. So in response, Lauren is going to draw a card here for each side. And we see Rada Drobrick on the side of Jason. And Digraph Rebirth. So 2 copies of that in Kayla's hand right now. Rona going to do a little digging. Jason needing a little help to get back into this. We see duress.
Jason says doesn't need the duress right now. I think Jason at this point is just trying to find the blade. We have the Rada Drovic. We have some of the other creatures that help Jason get to that combo. And right now, I think the blade is really one of the only vital pieces that we're missing.
Yes, and we see casting that Rada Drobrick untapped the Rona. So going to tap Lauren and draw a card here. Kayla drawing another Fable of the Mirror Breaker off of that Lauren draw, but Jason only getting a land. So Jason kind of getting the short end of the stick here. It's terrible. Oh, Takanuma, Denick, not what she is looking for.
Yeah, Jason does at least have a few ways to draw and search, even though they're not finding the pieces that they're looking for.
Yes, this deck certainly is doing a great job filtering through and getting through the draws. It's just not working out for her.
Yeah, and it's scary when you have a 7/7 Atali across from you.
Yes. The urgency is there for sure. Atali with trample. So you can't even, jump block it. Hero block, whatever you'd like to call it. We see the Takanuma on Kayla's side going to mill over a few cards and bring back a Sheoldred to hand. So that Atali clock just got even more serious, as I imagine we're going to see the 7/7 Dino just kind of trounce into the red zone. Jason still is at 20 life, though.
Yeah, Jason has a little bit of life to work with, but not for long. Taking 7 is a lot. But we're gonna see Jason trade off a Malira for a Malira. Just take the 7 from Atali. What's a little bit worrisome for me that I'm seeing is that Sheoldred. That Lauren is drawing Jason's cards. That Rona is drawing Jason cards. That is some pain off of Sheoldred.
Yes. We'll see Takanuma being channeled here for Jason as well. Seeing what the options are here. It looks like AO is the best choice for Jason as she puts that in her hand. And Tybar, Jubilant Brawler, will be the draw. So taking a quick little looky-loo here at what she can do. Rona going to start us off drawing and discarding. It looks like Catilda quickly going to hit the battlefield, going to hit the graveyard, excuse me, here, as the second Catilda perhaps is bound for the battlefield.
Yeah, it's starting to get a little worrisome. Sheoldred is doing work because Jason's just trying to filter, and that filtering, it's pain. Filtering is pain.
That it is. Rona gonna tap for a mana because of the Catilda, and then untap after the Tyvar is cast. So pretty cool combo that Jason has here. So going to play out that AO, and Rona going to untap once again. And like you said, Jason is at 9. That Itali does have trample, and Shieldred just keeps on draining. It's a scary place to be. I feel like Jason's just teetering on the edge.
If Jason can find the blade, I think Jason can just pull off the combo, or is about to pull off the combo, because the Ratadrobic's there, the Malir is there, the Catilda's there. Like, the pieces are coming together. We just need the sword.
Want a blade of shared souls, please.
I guess we're gonna have to wait and see if we can see the blade. That owl being on board is, I think, a key factor in potentially finding it, though.
Yes. And is it enough to keep the Itali home? It looks like it is. Not wanting to kill the owl, not wanting to give a chance to find it, I suppose. As Zayator's Proving Ground is going to draw a card, gain some life from the Shieldred. Traxa was the draw, so usually a pretty nice draw.
Yeah, and I do want to say it's a little hard to see Kayla's mana base, but also just seeing that Kayla has the 2 Goblin Shamans, I have a feeling she can hardcast that Atraxa, especially if she plays out some more lands.
Yeah, so we see playing the Proving Ground there just to make sure that she can in fact play it. Drawing a card, Seachrome Coast for Jason. Not what she's looking for here. So it's time to go digging. We'll see.
Yep. It's just digging, but it's still pain to dig.
And it looks like Ao's gonna get in the air, as is Lauren. And we'll see what is Kayla's plan here is just to take 7. I mean, Kayla is at 22 life now, is down to 15 from that attack. So says, you know what? I don't know what's going on here. I'm just gonna take this, and you'll be all right with it.
Yep. Ooh. What? Oh, more stuff that we already have.
Right? We have one of those Catildas.
Yeah, this it's gonna be really close. I think it's gonna come down a lot to the Shieldred being on board.
I would agree with you. As we see the second Catilda coming down, and the Ratadrobic will trigger. So getting a Catilda token and allowing Fable the Mirror Breaker to go up to chapter 2. So Kayla gonna gain some life here. A Lithomantic Barrage, a Go for the Throat. So has the removal. We saw a Traxa hitting the bin with the Diagraph Rebirth in Kayla's hand. This is a tight spot for Jason. I don't know if she's going to be able to get out of this one.
Yeah, I honestly think it comes down to, is Jason going to get the blade? If Jason gets the blade, I think they may be able to pull off the combo, bring it back. It's just going to be close, especially with the Ratadrobic going out here.
Yes, and we see Ward doesn't need to be paid because Lithomantic Barrage cannot be countered. So Malira, however, is going to protect this Ratadrobic, allowing it to die, and then it will come back. So Ratadrobic left for a second, came back, and Malira went to the graveyard in its place. And
Malira did her duty.
Yes. And looks like the dinosaur is feeling frisky, as are the goblin shamans. So both of those getting in, like you said before, making those treasure tokens. So Kayla can just cast just about anything. So Kayla's working her way up to Progenitus here. So
yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and block those goblin shamans, because why not? The Lauren, I believe, will trade with one of them, but we'll get a Ratadrobic token out of that.
yes. we'll see Ao getting in front of the Atali as well, looking for that death trigger, as is the copy of Catilda Dawnheart Prime. We'll see what Kayla has planned here, as I see the go for the throat in hand is leaving the hand. Go for the throat is going to cut down the Ao. Now, because Atali has trample, this would be 5 damage coming through.
Mm-hmm. So it looks like Jason might be trying to do another Malira sacrifice to give Al protection from the go for the throat.
All right, it looks like that might be the case, but that perhaps would allow too much damage through.
Yeah, it looks like it might still be, I think it's still lethal.
Yeah, Catilda does have the plaza will take care
however,
of it. Because Catilda allows human creatures to tap for any mana of that creature's color, any human creature to tap for its own color. So,
yeah, the plaza giving Al hexproof and indestructible, that was enough to keep from lethal damage, but that was a little spicy.
yeah, it was. We see the Loran die and come back as a token because of the Rada Drawbrick, and will explode that Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Oh, but Diagraph Rebirth, gonna say, you know what, that big dino, I want him back. So Atali is back out on the battlefield. We'll see what the hits are here. Oh, that's a lot of dinos.
Oh, okay, and Atraxa.
It's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
Pretty good.
And then on Jason's side,
we'll see what the deal is. Oh gosh, draw 4. That's so much. I'm not sure what that was on Jason's side.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But seeing Cruelty of Gix and another Diagraph Rebirth over in Kayla's hand, that's a little intimidating because everybody knows these are not secret.
No, everybody knows. That is for sure. And this is if you're Jason, you're going, please, Blade of Sharesold, where are you?
Yeah, one blade off the top, please.
Oh, Atali once again going to cast the Diagraph Rebirth again, because why not? Just keep cycling those dinos.
Yep. Malira.
And a second Shieldred. Not as good.
You only get to keep the one.
Yeah.
Only one Shieldred allowed.
Oh, thank goodness.
Wouldn't that be crazy if Shieldred wasn't legendary? Oh wait, Rada Drabic, hello.
We'll see Malira of the Living Cure going to exile itself, do some protecting, and a Diagraph Rebirth going to bring back the Atali. So now the Atali that it was protecting will come back after this Atali triggers. So even more dinosaur triggers. So Kayla, I don't know if Kayla's looking for something or if Kayla's just having a real good time right now. I'm pretty sure this is the 4th Atali. I think this is the 4th and 5th Atali triggers. So
that sounds right.
I mean, it's fun. It's like spinning the wheel. You know, you're just like, what am I gonna get this time?
Yeah, I'm almost curious if Kayla is looking for Jason's blade.
It could be. Could be. I'm sure Kayla knows the ins and outs of Jason's deck here and knows, hey, listen, I got to do something before Jason can combo off. I got to break it up somehow. And one way to do it is by stealing their combo pieces.
If Jason doesn't have the sword, maybe I can get the sword.
And now we see Ao and Cruelty of Gix. So Cruelty of Gix is going to start on, hey, chapter number 3. You know what that does? Brings back a dino.
Are we on 5 or 6 now?
I think that's 6. I could be wrong. I didn't think I would have to count. Okay.
Yeah, I'm regretting not counting.
We'll see. Go for the throat. Pointed at which of these creatures that has throats? That's the question.
Um, yeah, I suppose we are out of Malira's over on Jason's side.
And it looks like Endemic. Endemic going to go bye-bye now. And Atraxa is going to trigger here. Oh my goodness. So many triggers.
At what point do you have to be worried about milling yourself?
Right? Decking out. I'm sure Jason at some point has checked how many cards are left in Kayla's deck. Although it is the same two Atalis that keep, you know, coming back from the graveyard onto the battlefield and taking turns like a revolving door here. And we'll see AO hitting the battlefield. That Atraxa getting another Cruelty of Gix, a Lithomantic Barrage, a Sulfur Springs, and a Blood Tithe Harvester. And Kayla is going to take care of the Loran token, and poor Jason just gonna draw a land for turn here.
Yeah,
Having a good
that
game.
Shouldred did a lot of damage because unfortunately Jason had to cycle through quite a few cards with that Shouldred on board trying to find the blade, and the blade just never came.
Yeah, we see Atraxa jumping in front of the AO, finding the Blade of Shared Souls here, and is going to target the Rada Drawbrick. Now, with the Rona, the Rada Drawbrick, the AO token, and the Tyvar, this is not enough. Does it have to be the regular AO? Like the non-token AO, not the 2/2. I am not sure. Jason is taking a second. After sending the good game and sending in the AO, I'm not sure.
I'll be honest, I understand the combo, but I don't understand it nearly as well as Jason does.
Yes. And I mean, Jason is taking her time because I mean, why not? This is game 2, down a game. I'm taking all the time in the world to kind of figure this out. Can perhaps make infinite.
Yeah, I think since we're post combat, Jason
Got it.
has the ability to make an infinite number of tokens, but cannot survive the Shouldred trigger.
Got it. Yes, I would. That that's the problem. Being at 2. So if Jason was at 3 life, perhaps could stabilize here, but
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if Jason could make a ton of flyers to block all of the ones going on over
oh,
on
in the
Kayla's.
air.
But yeah, I think that being at 2 life with a shoulder across the board would potentially be the yeah. Well, we'll see Jason play this out. See
Yeah,
how this goes.
this is what we're here for. We were saying, come on, Jason, draw that Blade of Shared Souls so we can see exactly what you do as a smart Magic player, because I need to figure this out for myself. And I looked at the deck list and I sat there, and it took me a little while to understand the Atsushi one. So I looked at that and I'm like, wait, this is a totally different dragon. Does it still work? And apparently it does, because we see Jason
Yeah,
doing the thing.
even though Jason said GG and it very well may be GG, I appreciate that they're willing to at least show us the combo.
Yes, this is for coverage. This is like, for content here on the VML. We've got some awesome players. This is good sportsmanship on both sides. I am enjoying seeing this, and it looks like it is an infinite amount of tutus, just going to make all the tutus.
All the tutus, but all of these tutus are on the ground. And children.
So the Blade of Shared Souls just keeps
Sharon
copying
Souls.
Shared Souls. So it's becoming a copy of another creature that you control. So they're copying the Catilda, and then that's legend ruling. Then the Rada Drawbrick is saying, but when a legend dies, I make a token of it. So, and just keeps doing that over and over and over and
Yeah,
over again.
and is
And
it Tyvar's ability that gives them haste?
yeah, you can activate abilities of creatures as if they had haste. So it like doesn't give them haste, but it gives their abilities haste. I guess you
Yeah,
know, like
so
they can't attack, but they have hate. Their abilities have haste. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, that's we saw the combo.
Yes. And yes, and Catilda does have the besides being able to it's the pro werewolves human creatures you control have tapped to add any one mana of any of of that creature's colors. You can also pay 4 green white and tap it and put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So would be able to do that, but unfortunately, the writing was on the wall for Jason. So Kayla is going to take down that match 2-0. Not very often that you get to see a combo deck do its combo, but then still win. So, it's a very rare. Occasionally, they run out of gas or they just don't have like the right piece, and they search half their deck and they just didn't hit one. But Kayla gonna take that one down in division number 8. And it's just impressive showing for both of our players.
Yeah, I feel like that game, both players got their full combos. It was just a matter of which one came first and the timing.
Right, because that Rakdos Reanimator deck is as good as a combo deck.
I mean, that's as much of a
As
combo
any
deck
other.
as I could, imagine seeing. So,
And
yeah.
that is the truth. That was, quite a roller coaster though. Enjoyed it. So thank you to both Kayla and Jason for that awesome match. And we're gonna move on to our next matchup here in week 2 of the VML, sponsored by Wizards of the Coast and GLHF. Good luck, high five. We have Morgan, and he is playing Esper Legends. I feel like this deck was really good, and then it was not that good, and then it was really good again, and now it's just been quiet. And I'm not sure the addition of Rona, we've seen Skreld added to the deck. And what are your thoughts on the progression of Esper Legends in Standard?
I've really liked it. I know that it's kind of fallen out of popularity a bit from like not previous rotation, but just from a few previous set introductions. But honestly, Skreld is one of my favorite additions to this deck. The protection of creatures is just really important, and Skreld being a 1-mana 1/1, like that's a pretty nice little include. I do think it's kind of interesting and a little bit funny. Morgan even points out that what sets this deck apart, it's a standard list, except the inclusion of ossification, which I looked through the deck. There is one basic land in this deck. So
That's okay. You know what? You read it and you're like, oh, it's just like a chain to the rocks. And then you realize you're like, oh, well, I don't have any mountains or something, like that happens. It
yeah.
happens to the best of us. And you know what? With all the cards that Rafine can draw and things like that, I'm sure he'll be fine.
Yeah, ossification, that's just a Rafine 1/1 edition.
Yeah. And you just got to hope that your opponent doesn't notice. That's the key, right? If they
Yeah.
don't know, then it's all good. And who is Morgan's opponent today? We're going to take a look at Ash, and he is on Boros Aggro. You know what? Praise to the aggro player in this format against the 7/7 lifelinker and the 4/5 that gains life every single turn. I am a fan. I am here for this. I see some Nahiris. I see some swords. I see some awesome stuff happening here. And I mean multiple Nahiris. I see Nahiri in the main and Nahiri in the side. Like, we got a lot of really cool stuff going on here at Ash's deck. Do you want to just take me on a deep dive on what's going on here?
Well, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's Boros Agros, but it's artifact equipment affinity. So, like you said, you got Nahiri in the main deck, you've got Planeswalker Nahiri in the side, you've got multiple swords in here, the Rebel salvos for some removal. Those Rebel salvos hit quite a few things. It goes up to 5 damage, so it can cleanly take the Shieldred off. It attracts not so much, but Atraxa does cost a lot more than Shieldred. So if you can do aggro things and soup up your Kimba, your Nahiri, um, I think you're going to be in good shape. So we're also playing against legends. We're not playing against some of the Rakdos decks that have a little bit more removal. Not to say legends doesn't have a fair amount of removal, but I think this is going to be a real fun matchup. I'm very excited for this.
Oh, I cannot wait as we get into our third match of the evening. We've got Morgan. He is on Esper Legends on the bottom of your screen. And on the top of your screen, we have Ash, and he will be playing the Boros aggro deck. Let's take a look at some openers here. We got 4 lands, a Skrell, a Gold Forge Thoptrix, and a wedding announcement on the bottom with a keep from Morgan and 2 lands on the top, but both colors, a Plains and Mountain, and a kind of a slower start from Ash, but still a keep. So
Honestly, I think Ashes is, you got 2 1-drops. The Rabbit Battery has haste. It gives other things haste. So I don't think that's the worst start. I mean, maybe hoping for some 2-drops of maybe some swords. But yeah, I like it. I think that we might potentially see a Skrelv v Skrelv match here though, starting off.
yeah, and that might be the case as we see Skrelv hitting the side of Morgan to start things off, and Ash is gonna go, "Hey, me too."
I do think it's interesting that Morgan has both Eganjos, an Eganjo for the field potentially, and an Eganjo for removal, since they are legendary and you cannot have both.
And now this is a new one I've seen in these Esper Legends lists, the Gold Forge Thopterix, which gives legendary permanents you control ward 2. So it also is a flying and lifelink 1/3
For 2.
for 2. So all those things, lots of words for 2 mana.
Yeah, honestly, that first off, just a 1/3 flyer for 2, great. With lifelink, greater. Ward for my legendaries, wow.
Yes. And a nice curve out here too from Morgan as he plays wedding announcement here on turn 3. So Skrelv on 1, the Thopterix on 2, and the wedding announcement on 3. As that 1/3 is going to get it in the air, Ash will drop down to 18 and Morgan is up to 18. So pretty even Stevens right now as we see a land on the side of Ash and Invasion of Gobakon or Rebel Salvo both at the ready.
Yep, that invasion's gonna come out. We're gonna I believe you take a look. Unfortunately, we're just gonna see some lands, but we do see that that Rebel Salvo still costs 2. We need to get some more equipments out there to get that equipment discount.
Yes, and yeah, that Goba tax not going to hit anything. Rabbit Battery onto the Skrelv. Now, Skrelv cannot block, so Skrelv can't block Skrelv. So it'll be up to Morgan here if he would like to put this token and defend the invasion. The invasion is on 3 though, so it would not be defeated anyway.
Yeah, I may have just allowed that first 2 damage, but there always is the risk of, I know these are open deck lists, but there's always a fear of is there going to be one random damage that can come in, tap it, and then now we have to deal with the backside. But yeah, just gonna get rid of that 1/1. Probably will get another 1/1 this turn. So what's one little human?
Ooh, and a pretty decent draw on the side of Morgan as we see Shieldred out on the battlefield and Shieldred with Ward now, by the way. Now with Ward 2.
Yep, I know that I said it earlier that Rebel Salvo can take a shouldered clear off the board, but Ward 2 is nasty when you're, struggling a little bit on lands. Looks like we got there now, but it could have been dicey if we didn't get that other land.
Yeah, and Ash having Rebel Salvo have been an instant would have been able to salvo uh, uh before drawing a card, but could not do that. Oh, it has to kill the scroll first too. So
Yeah.
there's so many hills to climb here. As Skrelv is going to protect the Shieldred from red, and as its dying wish before hitting the graveyard, and a second wedding announcement on the side of Morgan. So really building up the battlefield presence here on his side.
Yeah, Morgan, he's in a pretty good position right now. Obviously, Squirrel can't block, so you can send that 4/5, the flying 1/3, and Ash is tapped out, so you don't really have to worry about any sort of removal for those pieces, and you can keep that 1/1 back and also protect the invasion.
Yeah, and this would be drawing two cards off of the wedding announcement if Morgan does decide that he would like to attack with two creatures here. So, and two wedding announcements means two new drawn cards. And we get to see what those will be. And it looks like a repeat copy of Shieldred and a Plaza of Heroes to even further protect Morgan's creatures here. And the first wedding announcement has flipped. And we'll see Kemba Ka Enduring come down on the side of Ash, and gonna equip that up right away with the Rabbit Battery. So it is now a 4/4 and requiring a block if it does intend on attacking the invasion of Gobakon. We will see if that Kemba will get in here. Ash is going to make his decision, and it looks like it will. So Skrelv giving it protection from white, so could not be blocked by that 2/2. The invasion will flip, and
Yep,
does.
the rabbit battery will unequip because Ash will need to have a blocker just to survive lethal. But we can see that Morgan has the Otawara in hand, can bounce that rabbit battery and swing for lethal, and I believe that's what's going to happen here.
Yes, and we'll see. Yes, Otawara taking care of that rabbit battery, and Ash can't do anything about it, so he's going to scoop them up, and we are going to move on to game number 2 here between Boros, Aggro, and Esper Legends. We're going to take a look here at the Esper Legends sideboard
No
on one
surprise,
side.
those ossifications are coming out.
Yes, we'll see. A nice, a very well-rounded sideboard here. 2 AO of the Dawn Sky, 4 Disdainful Stroke, 2 Duress, a Go for the Throat, 3 Lorans, 2 Negates, and a Void Rend. We see that Void Rend coming in.
I I really like Void Rend. It is not counterable, but it is 3 colors, so you don't see it played very often.
Right. It is definitely a powerful card, just hard to pay for. And we did see all 3 Lorans coming in here, being able to blow up artifacts in this matchup. Pretty important. And on the flip side, hey, we see some ossifications in that sideboard. But
Yeah, came out of Morgan's. It looks like
right.
they potentially are coming into Ashes.
Ooh, and thinking about Nahiri, which Nahiri to play here? We see Nahiri the Unforgiving in the sideboard of
This
Ash.
the unsparked Nahiri staying in, the sparked Nahiri coming out.
Yes. So yes, Nahiri Forged in Fury is a 6-drop for red white, and it has affinity for equipment. So looking pretty good in a deck like this. We see the Sword of Forge and Frontier is being shaved. Taking a look back at the battlefield once again, seeing what are the right calls here. It's definitely seeing something like that 1/3 and trying to like develop a game plan. Sometimes it's hard to kind of figure out exactly what you want your last card or two to be in matchups like this, especially playing such a unique deck.
Yeah, especially that last game. Skrelv was actually a pretty big obstacle for Ash to overcome since it gave protection. I mean, Ash is playing Skrelv as well, so he obviously knows the importance of Skrelv and keeping your stuff protected, but you don't you don't want to typically use your big removal pieces on a 1/1, right?
All right, and we do see Ash with double lithomantic barrage start this game off, so saying that's not going to happen to me again here. Rabbit battery going to come across. So Morgan down to 19. Kemba, Cotton, Durin going to get in, and that is 4 damage right across. So Morgan down to
That
15. Ooh,
that's
but
a
Lauren.
nasty little start over on Ash's side, getting a 4/4 on turn 2.
We'll see playing out a land and then a Denic here. 2/3, not that great at blocking a 4/4. Even with the life link, doesn't feel too great. We'll see not even get to block. Lithomantic Barrage going to take care of that Denic. And Kemba going to get in for another 4. So Morgan down to 11. We see Shipwreck Marsh is the draw here. And now Morgan has the decision to make because Morgan does have Go for the Throat or a Loran. Loran could take care of that Rabbit Battery. Go for the Throat could just take care of the Kemba.
Yeah, at this point, it's kind of difficult because if you do play out the Lauren and you destroy the rabbit battery, you still have Kimba that's going to be coming at you. If you kill Kimba, then you have a rabbit battery that can give whatever other creature may be coming out next haste if you have the mana. So it's a tough choice here. Um, I think I might opt for the rabbit battery just because the haste is kind of scary.
Yeah, we'll see. Loran is going to be the choice here, coming down, and will target the Rabbit Battery. And let's see if Ash is going to answer this right here and right now on Morgan's turn. Has the option to barrage or rebel salvo, but is going to say, nah, that's good. And a repeat copy of Kemba, so a duplicate copy in hand, doesn't feel too great. Lithomantic Barrage going to take care of that. Lauren clearing the battlefield for Kemba to cross once again. So down to 9. I have a feeling, though, that the Morgan side of the battlefield is about to get a little more clogged up. Having the choice between Go for the Throat and Shieldred, a much more mana efficient play. Ash with the answer in hand, 1 or 2 answers in hand.
Yeah, the 3 mana or the 2 mana. Definitely gonna opt for the 2 mana most mana efficient version. Oh, and a
Ooh.
Sokenzen getting channeled for 2 little hasters.
Yeah, and I mean, that definitely adds up as Morgan is down to 5, and Morgan does draw the Thopteryx again for turn. We saw it do a lot of work in game number 1. It's not looking as great here in game number 2. Would be able to Go for the Throat and play the Thopteryx, but will that be enough to stabilize?
It's gonna be very close because you take out the 2/2, you still have 2 1/1s. You play out the 1/3 lifelinker thinking, oh, I might be able to gain some life, but we know that Ash has the Rebel Salvo and seeing another Sokenzen. So like there's some options over on Ash's side. Definitely have to get rid of lifelink though. That's a no-go.
Yeah, we'll see Rebel Salvo cleaning that up. Those 1/1s getting across, but ooh, Shelly was going to be back, but taking a look at the Denic in the graveyard, thinking of this may be the better play, and I'm gonna say, nah, what you got the choice between Shieldred and any other 4-drop, it's just Shieldred, right?
Yeah, and it definitely looks like Ash has some options, but it's it's hard to not go with just the Sokenzen and sending out the hasters for Xaxes. Oh, oh, okay.
Oh, unable to do that because the
Did
uh
it did it be
because Kemba had
Oh,
died,
that's
so didn't have enough mana available to be able to channel that second Sokenzen.
Oh, you're
So
right.
Morgan
I overlooked that. That's a good point. Oh,
Morgan's hanging on at 4. This Lauren's gonna come down and just be a 2-1 blocker. And Denick now out onto the battlefield as a 3-2 blocker. Does Morgan need to start closing this game out at 4 life, or do you think he can feel comfortable sitting behind the Shieldred now?
That is a hard choice because I think in Ash's side, the only things that really deal with the Shieldred are the Rebel Salvos and the Destroy Evils, and we've already seen a Rebel Salvo and one Destroy Evil. So, whoa, I may have spoken too soon.
And I did just notice the other card in Ash's hand now. Drawing that Destroy Evil was clutch. But there is also a Dragon Wing Glider in hand. It is a 5-mana artifact equipment for Mirrodin. It gives the equipped creature +2/+2 flying and haste. So that would be enough to put a big threat in the air as well.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see if Morgan decides to swing with the 3/2 Dinnick because that leaving their self open in the air may prove to be their downfall. But
Yeah.
we did just see a Rafine come through, so there's going to at least be one blocker in the air this turn.
Yes, we will see. We'll see if Lauren decides to also get in here. Because Lauren with Vigilance will be able to get in and still be able to block if Ash does not desire to trade with Lauren. We'll see what he decides to do here. Definitely a pivotal part of this game, number 2, as our Esper Legends player is up a game and going to just pass the turn. So Citizen's Crowbar is the draw for Ash, and he's just going to play that right out.
Yeah.
Nothing to blow up with it yet.
No, but having a 3/3 citizen isn't the worst.
No, it feels pretty good. So Ash just looking to get that last 4 points of damage across. Will he be able to do it?
It's gonna be close. If Morgan swings with flyers, it is gonna be very close depending on whether Ash gets that 5th mana for the Dragonwing Glider or not.
Now, this is aggressive, and I like this. Equipping the Citizen's Crowbar to the Kemba, getting in for 4. So this is a lethal attack. Something needs to happen here. Morgan's got to jump in front with something. Let's see what he decides to do. Will it be Denick? Will it be Lauren? I can't imagine Rafine. I feel like Rafine is too valuable to do that.
I feel like Rafine is a vital piece right here on Morgan's side, so I don't think he's going to get rid of that. But the Lauren may have overstayed their welcome.
Yes. Lauren, don't let the door hit you. Oh, it looks like a double block here.
Oh, a double trade even. The Plaza.
Yeah. Wow. So we see Lauren and Denick saying, all right, we'll trade. And Morgan, unfortunately, drawing a land. Ash also drawing a land. Now, that is the 5th land for the Dragon Wing Glider. We'll see. Another Lauren is the draw for Morgan this turn. So he's looking to play that out. But if this Rafine gets frisky, then Morgan leaves himself vulnerable to that Dragon Wing Glider in hand.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see if Morgan swings or stays back, because I think that could make or break this game.
We'll see. And it looks like he's looking to attack, and Rafine is in the red zone. This could be disastrous. Oh,
but Owl, there
gotta
is
risk it for the
just
biscuit.
enough mana to play Owl.
We'll see. Rafine will get across for 1, having discarded a land to the connive trigger. And that 5/4 dragon feels pretty good. Skrelv is the draw.
This is interesting, though, because if
Ash does put that Dragon Wing glider out, well, the power and toughness, it'll be enough that that owl will have to block and I think trade.
Yes. We'll see. As it is for Mirrodin, so it does make its own token as well. And there it is, the 4/4 flyer with haste, and it's just going to stay home. But
Oh.
Otawara is the draw. Oh my goodness. This game has certainly taken a turn here. Now with the double Plaza of Heroes up, and Otawara Soaring City going to bounce that token back to hand. Well, bounce it into Oblivion. And that just opens up this battlefield here. Now, the Dragon Wing Glider is a known quantity. It does cost 5 to equip, but AO has Vigilance. So this is just a big old attack for 7 in the air. Nothing that Ash can do about it here. What does he have to draw to keep this from falling apart?
Oh, I'll be honest, I'm not sure what can get Ash out of this one.
We will see Nahiri Forged in Fury, the 5/4. But that's not gonna do it. So we will see Morgan on Esper Legends taking down that match against Ash on Boros Aggro. 2-0. Good games to both of our players out of Division 6. It is only week 2. This is a long season. All right. We got 7 weeks to play of round robin before moving on to our playoffs. So keep your heads up and keep battling. But good games to both of our players.
That was a very back and forth game. It was just top deck central, and there were a lot of good top decks.
There absolutely were for both of our players. Definitely a very entertaining matchup. But that does bring us to our final matchup here in week number 2 of the VML. Brought to you once again by Wizards of the Coast and GLHF. Good luck, high five. If you haven't checked out Megan and Maria, what are you doing? Make sure you follow them. GLHF is a fantastic podcast run by 2 fantastic women. Make sure you check that out. And up next, we have apparently the #1 Boo fan, Miranda. I don't know. I might have to challenge that. I love Boo. I do love Boo. I'm imagining we're talking about the hamster Boo and not like the one from Monsters Inc. or like a Halloween Boo or something like that.
A Mario Boo? Yeah. No, I'm gonna assume it's Minskin Boo Boo, the hamster.
I actually love Mario Boo. I feel ashamed that I forgot about Mario Boo. I played Mario Boo in like Mario Tennis and everything. That was my go-to. I mained Boo. That was my me and Boo go back.
I also just want to say, I loved Miranda's answer to which plane would you live on? Definitely not the one with the snakes. I'm not sure which plane that is, but I agree. I would not want to live there either.
I didn't realize that there was a one with the snakes, but I also agree with Miranda, and asking her what would set her deck apart from other decks. The 4 duress in the main, hoping to be a mirror breaker.
Yes.
So, but here we are, Rakdos midrange. So we do have a Rakdos midrange mirror here tonight, and we were able to avoid it for most of the night, and then we sprung it on y'all like, hey, Boo, yay.
Go for the eyes or the mirrors.
Yeah, one of those. So, but these Rakdos mid-range matchups have a surprising amount of play to them, and seeing some of the differences between the main boards and the sideboards, as you can see, Miranda did say they are playing for main deck duress, which is no joke, and there's also a Gix in the main deck as well, something that you don't really see in very many. 4 bank busters as well. So a lot of fun, little changes here, and I kind of dig it.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. You also get to see those Chandras in there. We've been seeing more Chandras incorporated into the Rakdos decks. Yeah, I'm excited. Now we get to go look at our second Rakdos deck for the night.
Yes, and we have Madeleine, and she is also on Rakdos mid-range. And we see a little more conventional here. I'd say the one Light Up the Night, double Chandras. Everybody's got the 4 Fable and Mirror Breakers. We see 4 Invoke Despairs, 4 Blood Tithe Harvesters, 3 Shieldred. So a very solid, just very similar to Nathan Stowers 75 from the Pro Tour. And how can you go wrong with that?
Right? I do like the inclusion of the graveyard trespassers. For some reason, when I did the view, they ended up at the bottom right where all the lands are. But there are some graveyard trespassers in here, and I thought one of the neat things about this was that Madeleine, when I asked, what sets your card apart, or like what's your best card in this matchup, they said Takanuma because there's no counter spells. So if she can pick up one of the creatures out of the graveyard, she knows it's resolving.
Yeah, no,
Or
for
just the
sure.
Chandra.
Yeah, to be able to dodge those duresses, like, because Madeleine is on the ready. Did also see those 4 main deck duresses that Miranda was packing. So let's see which one of these 2 players takes down this Rakdos mid-range mirror here in week number 2 of VML. And let's get it started. Miranda with a 1-lander. Oh, that's painful. On the top, a better looking hand from Madeleine. It's 3 lands, a cut down, a duress, a blood tithe harvester, and a fable of the mirror breaker. So a very nice curve on the top
Ooh.
of your screen. And oh no.
Miranda getting 2 one-hand or 1 mana hands in a row.
Yeah, that is tough. And then, yeah, almost even worse, just to pour salt into the wound. It's a double Sukans in hand. So just as good as a 1 land hand, honestly, and no black source. So this has to feel really bad if you're Miranda.
Uh, you know, at least she's on the draw.
Yeah, you know what? I've seen people draw it worse, and Madeleine is going to start us off with a duress, and it's going to take a little look and probably
You
go,
never
ooh.
didn't have the swamp though, right?
Right. And there's the swamp. You know what? You got to start somewhere. Miranda drew that swamp, and we see a blood tithe harvester from Madeleine. Let's see what Miranda can meet with it, playing the swamp out, drawing a light up the night, the one of in the main deck here. And let's see what she decides to do. If she's going to, does she need to go all in? Does she need to just kill this blood tithe harvester before it gets in too much damage? Or can she afford to take a few hits here?
It's hard to say because then when you see the fable come down on turn 3, do you try to save it for the fable?
We'll see. Deciding go
Yeah.
for the throat, we'll take care of that goblin shaman, saying, you know what, I don't want you getting that far ahead on resources here. And now Miranda has a choice to make. This is an interesting one. Can float a mana from the Sukanzin and play out this fable of the mirror breaker, but we'll lose. We'll just still be on 2 lands in the meantime.
I
It's
think
close.
that sadly may be the route to go. Like, granted, we know that there's a cut down in Madeleine's hand, but just trying to get that goblin shaman out to try to get some mana might be worth it. Or,
Ooh,
if we can just slow Madeleine down,
I like
also
this.
worth it.
So we see Light Up the Night taking care of the Blood Tithe Harvester on Madeleine's side. Now, Madeleine did draw another land here. So even though Fable will be able to loot away some of these lands, a Sukanzin double swamp in hand, along with that cut down, we'll see what she decides to do. It looks like both swamps are about to hit the graveyard and get 2 fresh cards. Looks like Go for the Throat and Black Cleave Cliffs. So not very proactive, very reactive cards now in Madeleine's hand, unable to put anything else on the battlefield. Is this the opening that Miranda needs?
I mean, it is a little slow for Madeleine. Um, I personally may have just, yeah, a little slow, but Madeleine does have some action over there. The Fable's about to flip. There's the Sokinzen channel availability for the next turn. So there are some options and just the removal here for that Goblin Shaman that we know Miranda really needed.
Yes, Miranda went, oh no, not my god, please leave my goblins alone. But we see Madeleine is the first to flip a fable here. Reflection of Kiki Jiki out on the battlefield, but it's not so good when it's got nothing to copy. And there it is. Miranda wanting that third land and is going to get it here with the basic swamp and is going to say, I can't loot away any of these cards. So for Madeleine's side, you see your opponent stuck on lands and then you see them decline to loot away any of the cards in their hand. Does that worry you at all?
Yes and no, because you have to assume that Miranda is so stuck on mana that it could potentially be a mana keep. It could be, something good, but we know Miranda is just so stuck on mana that she might not be able to get there.
And now Madeleine does know about the Shieldred in hand as Reflection of Kiki Jiki just gonna get in, not gonna copy, gonna leave up Go for the Throat on Madeleine's side. She's saying, you know what? It's not worth for me getting in that extra damage. I'm gonna keep up my Go for the Throat to be able to take care of these Reflection of Kiki Jikis instead. And the second Fable of the Mirror Breaker for Miranda is going to move up to chapter 2 here. Urborg Scavengers having been the draw. So a castable card. It will be interesting to see what she decides to do here with it.
Ooh. Yeah, I think just getting those Urborg Scavengers out there
Is worth a keep. It's something that can protect your board and protect you from potentially losing more life.
Yeah, definitely putting something else out there. Getting a little bit more board presence on Miranda's side for sure. We'll see Reckoner Bankbuster. Now, having started on 5 cards on Miranda's side, both players have 1 card left in hand. And both players are about to have an active Kiki Jiki if Madeleine doesn't go for the throat Miranda's. So, and with the Reckoner Bankbuster being able to draw cards for Madeleine, probably doesn't feel too great for Miranda. But she's going to be able to start getting back into this, I think, if Madeleine doesn't start closing things out quicker.
Yeah, I'm honestly very impressed that Miranda's been able to hold on this long, and it's very impressive.
For sure. And now we see Urborg Scavengers. Now, this is a card I have not seen in play yet. So definitely an interesting addition to Miranda's list. And Miranda also the one playing the Gix Yawgmoth Praetor. So Urborg Scavengers is a 3-mana 2/2. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, you get to exile a card from a graveyard and put a +1/+1 counter on it. So it's similar vein to a graveyard trespasser. It doesn't do the gain and drain thing. It's almost like a scavenging ooze sort of thing, but definitely interesting as we see. Unfortunately, no spells on Miranda's side. So both of these tokens, these graveyard trespassers, are going to turn into graveyard gluttons. That allows them to eat 2 cards out of a graveyard every turn and drain a life for each creature card that is drained and invoke despair. Ouch.
I was about to say this invoke despair is going to be painful.
Yes, that does not feel good as both of these graveyard gluttons are going to get into the red zone and we're going to see some draining happening. Graveyard glutton number 1 and number 2 eating a whole bunch of graveyard stuff, leaving Miranda with nothing in the graveyard. And a big question now, is she going to block?
See, this is the interesting part. Obviously, Madeleine is baiting the copying of the reflections for blocks to see if we can get those out of the way now so that the Invoke Despair may hit some of the originals after.
We'll see what the decision is here now. Madeleine has been very has been holding on to this go for the throat, has been valuing it very highly. This go for the throat didn't just kill the reflection of Kiki-Jiki the second that it flipped, has held on to it here, even to allow the second reflection of Kiki-Jiki to flip. And it seems to be paying off the patience, as Reckoner Bankbuster is going to draw us. So Can's in here. Reflection of Kiki-Jiki. We're going to go to Madeleine's end step. So not going to cast the Invoke Despair or anything.
Yeah, it was definitely worth sending both of those Graveyard Trespassers to see if we could bait out any of the copies. But, now that there's only one reflection, you're not going to get the reflection semi-combo.
Yes. We'll see Blackcleave Cliffs, the draw here. So could play out the Shieldred, but being at 4 life, you got to imagine probably not in a good spot if you're Miranda right now.
Yeah, I mean, this was a rough beginning for Miranda to begin with. To go down to 5, this is actually quite impressive that she's been able to hold out this long and has put up such a fight. I'm very impressed. I probably would have been like, "Ooh, this is not going well for me," and given up already.
And we'll see Shieldred coming down here. This is a last ditch, hoping that maybe Miranda can get a foothold here and get back into this game. We see the Invoke Despair in Madeleine's hand. Is this Urborg Scavenger's going to get in?
I would assume so. Madeleine's not gonna block with the 2/2. Could create a copy, but would probably just want to keep that copy for attacks after.
Yes, and we see Reflection of Kiki-Jiki going to end step, copy the Graveyard Glutton, and that means we'll untap and be able to copy the Graveyard Glutton once again on Madeleine's turn. And just a swamp for turn is the draw, but having that Invoke Despair is just having an ace in your sleeve, right?
Sure is. Because that's going to potentially take out 2 creatures on board and just triggers alone. Then you play the Invoke Despair. Yeah, if you play the Invoke Despair afterwards, you ensure that you get the win just because there's nothing to discard. Or there's nothing to sacrifice.
And that Invoke Despair will prove lethal for Miranda. So Madeleine is going to take down game number 1 in this Rakdos mid-range mirror. Miranda really making a game out of it with a mulligan to 5, keeping 2 legendary lands. That was quite a game and not what I would have expected if you asked me in the first 30 seconds of that match. So well played, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a very close match, even going down to 5 with questionable mana.
Yes. Now, taking a look at sideboards, we're taking a look at Miranda's sideboard here. Has those Urborg Scavengers, the Gix, Yawgmoth Praetor, staying in the main deck as of right now. Kind of just taking a look at things. We see 1 Brotherhood's End, 3 Cutdowns, 2 Glistening Deluge, 2 Liliana of the Veil, 2 Lithomantic Barrage, 1 Obliterating Bolt, 2 Razorlash Transmogrant, and 1 Rotten Reunion, 1 Soul Transfer. And see what Miranda decides to do here. Looks like taking a minute to think about things. Sometimes you just kind of keep notes and looking into, what the proper thing is to do here. And it looks like going to shave a Shieldred.
Yeah, added a soul transfer in.
Love it. And now a similar sideboard from Madeleine. We see an Abrade, a cut down, 2 Duress. Those came in pretty quickly. 2 Glistening Deluge, 2 Liliana of the Veil, 2 Lithomantic Barrage, 1 Obliterating Bolt, 2 Razor Lash Transmogrant, and Round Reunion Soul Transfer. So very similar sideboard ideas, and both players wanting all 4 Duresses in this matchup. That's for sure.
Miranda already has a better start than last game with both colors, 2 mana. Don't have to worry about legendary mana at this time. So she's going to keep, and it looks like Madeleine's going to keep as well with a Blood Tithe Harvester, Fables for 3, Reckoner Bankbuster. Seems like a pretty strong starter.
Yeah, Miranda very happy to keep 7 this time. Having the double Urborg Scavengers probably feels pretty good. Madeleine, however, is going to get out onto the battlefield first, and it looks like it will be Reckoner Bankbuster starting us off. Miranda going to draw a card for turn. Fable of the Mirror Breaker coming on down. And Goblin Shaman token ready and raring to go. We see double Fable of the Mirror Breaker still in hand for Madeleine as she plays out one of the same. So 3 copies total. And now an interesting question. It's what do I do with chapter 2 of this Fable of the Mirror Breaker?
Right? It's a little tricky this early because, the soul transfer is not potentially doing much right now, but could be better later. Tossing 1 scavenger doesn't seem the worst, but it's also not a bad creature on 3. So it's always tricky knowing when you're not flooded, what to get rid of.
Yeah, and it looks like the 1 copy of Soul Transfer is hitting the bin as well as a repeat copy of Urborg Scavengers. Now, Invoke Despair was the draw here, and if Miranda is looking to get into the red zone, would be able to cast that Invoke Despair here. And it looks like Miranda's saying, heck yes, I'm getting in, making that treasure token, and Invoke Despair it will be. So going to invoke Madeleine's Despair.
Yeah, it's always so crazy to me how whoever gets their Fable on 3 is in such a whoever gets it first on 3 is in such an advantageous position because that allows you to get that treasure token. It allows you to loot away cards to get what you're looking for before the other player has a chance, potentially preventing them from getting their treasure. So it's Fable. First
Yes.
Fable is best Fable.
Yes, for sure it is. And that cut down, unfortunately, a little late to save Madeleine from the first Invoke Despair, but does take care of the Goblin Shaman the second time around. And Madeleine also has a replacement Fable of the Mirror Breaker out on the battlefield and yet another copy in hand as well, as Miranda has a Sheoldred, another copy of Invoke Despair, or could choose to double spell, has spells like Reckoner Bankbuster or Borg Scavengers, and Go for the Throat in hand. It'll be very interesting to see what it is she decides to do here.
Yeah, no, I personally, looking at Madeleine's board, I think I would I would go for that Invoke Despair again. Get rid of the Goblin Shaman, get rid of the Fable actual enchantment, draw another card. That just keeps sending Madeleine back because she's not getting the opportunity to attack with that Goblin Shaman and get those treasures that she's really needing.
Yes. And now Madeleine can invoke Despair back, but has an empty board besides that. And Miranda would only be sacrificing a reflection of Kiki Jiki, and then would be down to 16 life. Madeleine is at 12, and Madeleine would still really have no board presence. So it'll be interesting to see what she decides to do here. And it will be casting the 3rd Fable of the game on her side and following that up with a Blood Tithe Harvester. So deciding to ultimately hold on to that Invoke Despair and get into the red zone with that Reckoner Bankbuster. What do you think about that play over just pushing out an Invoke Despair?
Honestly, I kind of like that. I think it's a good use of her mana. I think it sets her board up because if I'm Madeleine, I am really wanting Miranda to play that potential Shouldred or just a creature out. That way, when I play that Invoke Despair, I'm getting a 2-for-1 in, Miranda having to get rid of whatever she's committed to the board. And you're going to, Planeswalkers, there is the Chandra, but you're not seeing those nearly as often. So you're usually getting at least 1 draw off of the not having a planeswalker to sack.
Right. We see Urborg Scavengers coming on into the battlefield. Going to take a little looky-loo, see what exactly is in these graveyards, and Urborg Scavenger is going to eat an Urborg Scavengers. So that's going to take care of that. Up to a 3/3. They will go and go for the throat, going to take care of the Blood Tithe Harvester. So Miranda could have gotten into the red zone with the Reflection of Kiki Jiki, but not wanting to trade with a Goblin Shaman token. And now Madeleine is going to hit chapter 2 on her Fable of the Mirror Breaker, deciding to hold both cards.
Yeah, I was about to say, if I'm Madeleine, I'm not getting rid of either of those.
Right, pretty good. Invoke Despair, one of the most powerful cards right now in Standard, or in this deck and in Standard. We'll see. Miranda also has a choice here. Can sacrifice the Reflection of Kiki Jiki as the creature, then not say, I don't have an enchantment to sacrifice, or could have sacrificed both the Scavengers and the Reflection and only allowed Madeleine to draw one. This go for the throat going to take care of the Urborg Scavenger, is going to clean up the battlefield. So Miranda no longer with a battlefield presence, drawing duress for the turn. But we know that there is just a Takenuma Abandoned Mire in Madeleine's hand. So Shieldred, it looks like it's time for you. The Apocalypse and a Reckoner Bankbuster. Now those two go together like peanut butter and bananas. So
Yeah, if I was Madeline, I definitely would have been a little worried about potentially using that go for the throat on the Urberg scavengers, because it is going to grow, but as as we knew, Miranda did have that shoulder in hand, and that would have been a much better target for the go for the throat.
yes, that's the worst. It's like you held the go for the throat for so long. We saw Madeleine in game number 1 hold the go for the throat till the end of the game, and this time fired off. And what happened in the very next play was Shieldred out onto the battlefield. Doesn't feel great. You know what else doesn't feel great? Casting a duress and seeing your opponent's hand, and it's a Takenuma in a swamp. So
Yeah,
Takenuma was practically a spell, right?
it is. Unfortunately, Duress can't hit it.
Yes. And we'll see Fable of the Mirror Breaker here as the follow-up. So 2/2 Goblin Shaman tokens on either side, and no answer for the Reflection of Kiki Jiki. So Madeleine's going to keep that for now. Takenuma going to go a searching and only find a Blood Tithe Harvester that had been waiting ever so patiently in the graveyard from earlier. And we'll see a land is the draw. So Madeline probably had enough of those. Oh, this Blood Tithe Harvester had to take one to cast it, as those lands are painful.
Yeah, they are pain. However, this is at least going to be enough to take Shouldered out.
Yes, it will. Blood Tithe Harvester is being copied by the Reflection of Kiki Jiki, making a third blood out on the battlefield. So Shieldred is going to crew Reckoner Bankbuster as a last ditch before hitting the graveyard. And now, what is Madeleine going to do? Now, at 4 life, that's kind of scary, honestly.
Yeah, it's concerning, because there's a few ways that, a single Invoke Despair could.
Ooh.
Ooh, or a Chandra.
Genre Hope's Beacon, one of the biggest impact additions to these Rakdos decks, certainly shows her power here. We'll see Fable of the Mirror Breaker looting away the other Fable of the Mirror Breaker, but Chandra, the battlefield is yours.
It waits.
Yes, it is here, and starts on loyalty 5, has a -X, where Chandra Hope's Beacon deals X damage to each of up to up to 2 targets. So that would be lethal. So that means we are going to get a game number 3 here.
Oof, this Rakdos mirror, it is spicy.
Grindy. Yes. There's definitely, as Chandra definitely spicing things up there a little bit. We saw back and forth Invoke Despairs. We saw quite a few Fable of the Mirror Breakers in that match. And
gosh, we saw what, 2 invokes on one side, another invoke on the other. That's
that's a lot, as both players very happy with their 7s. So we see Miranda with 3 lands, 4 spells, Madeleine with 2 lands and 5 spells. Duress is going to kick us off from Miranda's side, and she's going to take a little look here. See double Blood Tithe Harvester, a Shieldred, a Duress of Madeleine's own, and an Abrade in hand, as well as a Blackleaf Cliffs. And it's going to say, I'm taking that Duress.
I was about to say, if I'm Miranda looking at my own hand, I don't need Madeleine taking a peek and taking my Invoke Despair. No, thank you.
Right. And Miranda already probably making up in her head, like, where does this go for the throat going to land? You know, I have perhaps having an idea for these Invoke Despairs and things too to take care of the Shieldred. And usually one Shieldred on my side of the battlefield can neutralize the Shieldred on your side of the battlefield. So maybe, you know, allow bygones to be bygones and just going to take care of this Blood Tithe Harvester for now.
We will, however, see that Fable come down.
Yes, we will. So Goblin Shaman on the side of Madeleine, and that will help ramp things up, as Madeleine does not have another land in hand as of right now. Miranda, drawing Duress for turn, was going to just fire it off and said, well, I know what's in hand, but doesn't really have any other plays to make right now. So, you know, it's going to say, I'll take that Abrade then.
Oh, this is getting interesting.
It certainly is, as we see Madeleine drawing a Duress of her own. And she is also going to play that out, not having looked at Miranda's hand yet in this match, and going to see and quickly take the only option, Invoke Despair. Shieldred now coming down. We have battling Shieldreds. Miranda with 4 cards in hand. Madeleine only is empty-handed right now, but has the control of the battlefield. So Kenzen is the draw as well. We see double lands in Miranda's hand. Both players begging for some gas here. And interesting,
Offering the trade, yeah.
Offering the trade. Miranda will decline and say, I'm going to take 4. What do you think about that?
I find that I think that's really interesting, because obviously Madeleine has the stronger board state with this Shieldred and the Goblin Shaman and the Fable. So I think it makes sense to offer that trade, because on Madeleine's side, it's like, I've still got more than you. If we trade these big boys off, I'm still gonna hit you. So I think Miranda keeping the Shieldred, just taking the 4, you know, ultimately will protect her a little bit better in the long run, can block the 2/2s instead of having to trade for other potential things. But we see Madeleine here having a go for the throat in hand as the draw. That's pretty good.
Yeah, no longer able to trade Shieldreds now. Reflection of Kiki Jiki gonna copy that Goblin Shaman and just get in. Doesn't matter if the Goblin Shaman wants to trade for the original Goblin Shaman. Totally good with that. Madeleine says, I've got enough here. Just gonna get in. Miranda gonna drop down to 6. This is definitely the scariest place to be when you're in a Rakdos mid-range mirror. And oh my goodness, especially
because these are going to, this is going to hurt just to draw.
This is the last chance. Takanuma is the draw. So 4 lands in the row for Miranda. That is going to do it. And Madeleine will take down this Rakdos mid-range mirror 2-1 here in week number 2. And wow, that was quite a matchup. Like,
yeah, that
those
last
are
game
exciting.
went so fast.
it really did. But the I'm actually impressed that game 1 lasted a lot longer than game 3 did. Even with that mulligan to 5, these mid-range decks have some grind to them.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they're very aggro, other times they're very control-y. So you never know which one you're gonna get. Game 1 felt more on the control side. Game 3 felt very aggressive.
Right, it definitely did. These, you know, they can play all sorts of roles, but good games to both of our players. Again, it's just week 2, so there is plenty of time left. There's plenty of play left in this season. Season number 10, by the way, if you can believe it, because I can't. So it's gone by so very quickly. But that is going to do it for us here tonight. So a big thank you once again to our sponsors, Wizards of the Coast and GLHF. Good luck, high five. Make sure you check them out. and make sure you keep in touch. I said this is only week 2. Make sure you're following us on Twitch and Twitter and YouTube and all those great things. VML MTG on everything. Exclamation point VML in chat if you want to check out our website and get some info and everything. Big thank you to our admin team. Big thank you to all of our players tonight, all of our viewers. You all are awesome. Thank you for your support. Big thank you to our caster team, especially to my wonderful partner tonight, Misha. I got the pointy right that time.
Partner, Nicole.
I feel like we're fusing.
Yes.
Right? I gotta like. It's in
now. If you guys keep doing that, we're gonna wind up terms of service. So don't. Please don't.
And as always, the biggest thank you to the most wonderful producer that we could possibly have, the phenomenal Phoebe. You are the very best, and you keep this show going. So thank you, as always, week to week. She's here every single week, and I adore her, and she makes us all smile and, you know, helps us through when we're running around and it's 5 minutes to call time and there's everything's exploding, you know, but, you know, everything's exploding except for Phoebe, which is all we really need. So thank you once again. I appreciate everybody tuning in. We will catch you all next week for some week 3 action of VML right here. Same bat time, same bat channel, twitch.tv/VMLMTG. Catch you all next week.